Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of You Guessed It. It's Jaking Off with me, your host, Jake Redpath. I am happy to be here. We got a cool episode for you guys today. We got a cool little episode for you. It's just me on this one. Coming up, we're going to talk about the funniest firing I've ever seen. We're going to talk about, oh God, what else are we going to talk about? Jesus Christ, this is not starting off well. We're going to talk about digital blackface, and then we're going to talk about TikTok, and then maybe we'll get to Donald Trump talking about leaving money to your kids. It's pretty funny, dude. But yeah, as always, if this is your first time listening, welcome. If you're a returning listener, thank you. If you'd like to support this podcast, the best way to do that is to follow us on Instagram, like and subscribe on YouTube. Leave us a review wherever you're listening to this, Apple Podcast, Spotify. Give us a 5-star review. Unless if you don't leave a review, if you're going to leave a bad one, please, just, keep it to yourself, dude. We're all trying to do our best here. We're all trying to make it. And, we don't need bad reviews. So without further ado, let's, get started with today's episode. So this lady first of all, I had a good week, guys. I've had a nice little week, okay? I did some comedy this weekend. Wowie, wow. I did a show on Friday at Strange Days Brewing Company. Holy cow. And then I hosted a Don't Tell comedy on Saturday. It was fun. It was a good time. The show on Friday was a little weird. I was just me and two fellow comedians and friends of mine, and the audience took a little while to warm up. I felt like my set went okay. It wasn't, perfect by any means, but it was fine. And afterwards, my girlfriend was with me, and we were sitting at the bar, and this lady who she was the bartender there, came up to me and was like, "Hey, Gulliver, get off of that. Hey. Gullies, stop. Whoopsies." My cat was going to scratch up my backpack. He was going to scratch it up. But this lady she was like one of the bartenders or something. She came up to me and was like, "Hey, don't feel too bad. It was a tough, they were a tough crowd." And I was like, "Well, I mean, I think all things considered, I went pretty well." It's fucking, dude. Why do people do that, man? I don't understand. Why can't you just, keep your mouth shut? Why do you have to make like these passive aggressive remarks to people? It just is so. It's so strange. Like, if that would be like, she's a bartender. That would be like if I walked up to her and I was like, "Hey, don't worry about it. That drink is really hard to make, so not a lot of people can do it." And that kind of thing. I don't know. It's fucking people piss me the fuck off, dude. Don't walk up to people and say stuff like that. And I was, I feel like I handled it okay. I was just like, "Oh, I thought it went fine." And she was like, "Oh yeah, I just don't want people to get the wrong idea and yada yada. Usually the crowd is like super great and blah blah blah." But I don't know. That's just weird. People walk up and say like some of the weirdest shit to you after comedy shows. And normally I try to be nice, right? I want to be polite because I want people to like me. I want people to, engage with the stuff that I do and create. But more and more it's getting difficult to be nice to every single person because sometimes people just say the fucking craziest shit to you after a show. And Yeah, it's fucking annoying, dude. Fuck that lady. But she's probably really nice. So that was a weird. There was something else. Some lady walked up to me after the other show, the next night too, and said something to me. Oh, it was because I was hosting, and she was like, "Well, you were pretty funny considering you're just the host and not an actual comedian." And I was like, "What? What? What do you mean? I am. I am the actual comedian. I'm a fucking comic." That's you think that they're just like, all right, we're gonna have a comedy show, and let's get somebody to host it that isn't a comic. Come on, get the fuck out of here, dude. Fuck you. Fuck you. Dude, it's crazy out here, man. Can't say anything anymore. This lady, she's a news. Well, she was a news anchor at WLBT in Jackson, Mississippi. Now, just for some backstory, if you're not familiar with Mississippi and the history of that state, then it's very racist. Deep South, one of the worst, histories regarding treatment of black Americans in the entire United States, which is, that's a pretty low bar. So, yeah, this lady, her name is Barbie Bassett, and I looked up a lot of information about her because I thought this was so funny. She used to be like a beauty pageant, champion. She was like Miss Mississippi. Say that 10 times fast, huh? Miss Mississippi. But she was a beauty pageant champion, that kind of stuff. But she recently was terminated from her position, and the reason why is because on air she said something that it sounds a little weird coming from a lady like her. She's clearly a middle-aged woman, gray hair, all that good stuff. She's got real Paula Deen vibes. That's how I would describe her. She's got real Paula Deen vibes. She's very much like this Southern old lady. It's me, Barbie Bassett. Hey guys, it's me, Barbie. But this is the clip that got her canned. I've been laughing about this so hard. Here it is.
Come up with.
I think that'd be pretty cool.
Before we know it, she'd have a Snoop Dogg tattoo on her shoulder.
For Shizzle, my nizzle.
I'm telling you. Julie, what you think about that? Huh, she says.
Well, get this.
Dude, she got let go for that. For the for Shizzle, not the for Shizzle, but it's what followed the for Shizzle. So if you maybe you're unaware with Mr. Snoop Dogg's work, but he's a rapper, and they're talking about Snoop Dogg, and she quoted him. She quoted Snoop Dogg's lyrics. If she would have stopped it for Shizzle, it would have been fine. Everything would be cool, but yeah, she got fired. I gotta say, when I first saw it, I was like, that's a little much. I think it was like a situation, and I still think this, even though she got fired. I think it's a situation where it doesn't seem like she knew what she was saying. You know what I mean? Like, I think she was just doing a joke. She maybe didn't even come up with it. Maybe someone else was like, oh, you should say for Shizzle, my, that's what Snoop Dogg says. And, she doesn't know. She's not aware. This lady's not listening to Snoop Dogg. But, yeah, she said it. And it's so funny because so you can hear the one guy talking, the other anchor, that's like, she's going to get a Snoop Dogg tattoo on her shoulders. Whatever the fuck that means. They're talking about like Snoop Dogg is opening a winery or something. He's like, she's going to get Barbie loves Snoop Dogg. He's going to get a Snoop Dogg tattoo on her shoulder. It's like, dude, that's just how fucking newscasters sound in Mississippi. If somebody goes on there and talks normally, nobody can understand the news. They have to go something like this. Got to talk like this, people understand the news. That's my new character. It's a Mississippi newscaster. Hey, well, the weather's gonna be rainy today. But there's a dude to sitting next to her, not the anchor. That's like, she's gonna get a Snoop Dogg tattoo. But there's a black reporter right next to her, and you can see his like face. Just he's laughing. They're talking about the Snoop Dogg tattoo, and then right when she says it, you see him like just like he knew that this was it for her, and his face is the funniest thing to watch. If you see this video, I'm gonna play it again just so you can see his face. I'll like zoom in on his face so that you can see it. It's so fucking funny, dude. Here it is one more time.
Before we know it, she'd have a Snoop Dogg tattoo on her shoulder.
For Shizzle, my nizzle.
I'm telling you. Julie, what you think about that? Huh, she says.
Well, get this.
It's so funny. He just is like staring. He's laughing. He bends over. He's laughing. And then she says it. She goes, for Shizzle. And he like goes, his face just like winces. And then he just sort of like looks up and his eyebrows raise. And he's got like a, you know, his face is all clenched up because he knows. At first though, I thought I was like, man, that's crazy. Like this lady clearly like she, you know, made a mistake and or you know, didn't realize what she was saying, something like that, and she shouldn't be fired. I felt like that was a little far, but I looked into it, and it turns out that old Barbie Bassett got a little bit of a history of saying accidentally racist stuff. I found this other video. So this is from like last year, sometime during football season, because they have a reporter. There's College Game Day. ESPN's College Game Day is in Jackson. That's what the Chiron says. And so they have a reporter who's a black woman out at College Game Day, and she's, you know, split screen with the with Barbie Bassett, the same people from the other video. Barbie Bassett, you get a Snoop Dogg tattoo guy, and the black guy who was like, you know, just absolutely knew that this spelled the end. So this is an incident that happened before this. This happened like last year. This happened before the For Shizzle. And this one is pretty bad. So here, I'll play this. I tried to find the best clip I could. I couldn't find like a clean cut of it. So this is a different guy watching. This is like another guy watching the video. So you'll hear that guy's voice kind of when she says what she says.
I know you well enough to know that those guys working behind you, they probably know who the celebrity game day picker is. So you need to go swing by the Kroger's, get you a chocolate pie.
A chocolate pie. A chocolate pie.
Well, pecan pie would be just as fine. And you need to go offering it to some of those guys working behind you.
And get the scoop.
And see if you can get the scoop from one of those for return. I know your mother or your grandmammy has got some type of a recipe that you could whip up, don't you think?
Really,
Take it to them.
Grandmammy?
They might have a recipe or two. Go whip something up.
Yep. Not another one. She did it, dude. She said it. And, you know, she got in hot water for that. And you can see the same dude when she says it. That's next to her is like, oh, fuck. Oh, no. He knows that she's in trouble again, dude. She can't help it. I think it's so funny, the idea that this, like, because again, this doesn't seem like something malicious or something intentional. It just seems like this lady is, this it's hilarious that the former Miss Mississippi can't help but sound racist. Like she can't even stop herself. It's just in her bones, She just is just out here just fucking showing her ass all over the place, dude. And for that one, she made an apology. So she got like a warning. She got reprimanded. And I got to say, I think the apology is like pretty genuine. It comes off that way at least. But, man, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, you are out of here for Shizzle, dude. You got to go, Barbie. But I thought that, for just out of fairness, I should at least play her apology for you guys. So that here's her apology.
We have heard from many of you regarding an exchange in a WLBT newscast last week. In an effort to be transparent, we want you to know we have had meaningful internal conversations and discussions about this situation. Barbie Bassett would like to address those comments.
Last Friday on our newscast today at 11, I used a term that was offensive to many in our audience and to my coworkers here at WLBT. And though it was not intentional, I now understand how both my comment was insensitive and hurtful. And I have apologized to Carmen Poe. And now I would like to apologize to you, because that is not the heart of who I am. And for that, I humbly ask you for your forgiveness. And I apologize to everyone I have offended. I will learn from this. And I will participate in training so I can better understand our history and our people. I cannot mend the hurt that my comment caused, but I pray that you will forgive me and that you'll extend grace through my awful mistake.
For Shizzle. Dude, I mean, she'll be fine, She'll be fine. She'll be on, like, fucking Fox News in a week or two, It's totally chill. I was talking to, because people were saying online, they're like, well, Snoop Dogg's gonna, like, end up, hanging out with this lady or whatever. But I think because of the fact that this has happened before, you probably won't see that. Probably gonna see, see this lady on some church at some mega church, or probably on like Newsmax or something like that. I got canceled. But more or less, I mean, she did kind of just say the N-word on live TV. So I don't know. I mean, I am American, so I kind of usually I believe in like 3 strikes you're out, but 2 is enough for this one. Barbie Bassett, gone but not forgotten. I wonder. She just is like, it's so funny. Because I really do believe that she didn't realize that what she was saying was wrong. But I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that everyone around this woman in her young adult life was probably pretty racist. I can't imagine that, because she's a little older now, and I mean, I can't imagine that the Mississippi beauty pageant circuit, whenever she was running around in there, was very it's very progressive, but I could be wrong. I don't know. But yeah, she's gone. She's fired. People were saying they're like, Snoop Dogg's gonna link up with her, but I really don't. I don't see that. I don't see that happening. I just think it's so funny. Her face after she says, for Shizzle, my N-word. She her face is like she just made the funniest joke ever. Like, she thought she's being like, she's trying to be the joke is that she's, you know, this out of touch old white lady, but it's not a joke. She is out of touch. And she is an old white lady. And that's why it's just sort of like weird. It feels just strange, like watching her when she says it. You can tell that she doesn't think that you know, that what she's saying is bad, or she doesn't realize it. But if you watch the reaction of the dude next to her, he knows, dude. He knows that she's gone. She she's done for, dude. Barbie Bassett. Old Barbie Bassett. I saw like some emails people were sending. They're like, she's not racist, like da 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 da. And I think that there's, you know, a good chance that this lady probably isn't actively racist in her life. You know, like in her interpersonal relationships with black people and da 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 da. You know, like of course I can conceive of that, but my guess is that she's you know, internalized a lot of this stuff in her upbringing and doesn't even, you know, there's no connection. And the thing is, if you're this news station or whatever, there's plenty of people that you can hire to sit at this desk and read the news that aren't gonna like shoehorn in these weird like jokes or whatever she's trying to do. I don't know. So whatever, she'll be fine. She'll be fine, dude. She'll be on Tucker. She'll be on Tucker Carlson soon enough, surely. The next, so that was, so, you know, sort of a more overt example of, you know, the way that racism is kind of baked into our society and stuff. But there's there's another movement that I learned about this week. Another term that I wanted to talk about, and that is digital blackface. That's right, digital blackface, guys. Did you know that existed? I had no idea. This article by this guy John Blake on CNN.com, it kind of was trending on Twitter, and so I was like reading it, and I gotta say, I don't think that this is really anything worth getting upset about. I mean, like the framing, I get what they're trying to say or whatever, but I think that this is like this is huge. This is a huge stretch. So if you don't know what it is, digital blackface, and this is from the article that this guy wrote, digital blackface is a practice where white people co-opt online expressions of black imagery, slang, catchphrases, or culture to convey comic relief or express emotions. So they're referring to stuff like memes. One of the things that they talk about is this lady Kimberly Wilkins, who became known as Sweet Brown. You probably remember this video going viral. It's like her on the news, and she says, "Ain't nobody got time for that," and it became a meme, and people use the meme all the time. Ain't nobody got time for that, da 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 da. I remember the video when it came out. I don't share GIFs or memes or anything like that, so, and I'm not really, like, you know, this kind of stuff is, like, not that interesting to me. Her house burnt down. You know, that was the whole thing with when that video came out. And she went on, because I remember she was on, like, all these late night shows and stuff. People liked this lady. They thought that she was funny. They thought that she seemed genuine. And so she went on a bunch of shows. But now it's not cool. It was okay then to like this lady and to sort of root for her, you know, and quote her or whatever. But it you know, now they're like, it's like there's sort of this retroactive being like, you guys were being racist. And, you know, I definitely think that there's something to the idea of, especially in the instance of like this lady, or you know, the guy who they're like, you know, he's like, hide your kids, hide your wife. That guy, I think that there's something to the idea that people in some ways were trivializing these sort of moments in those people's lives that were very serious and dramatic, you know. Like I think that one guy, the whole thing was like somebody like broke into, or like came in his home and like attacked his sister, like came in through the window and like tried to assault his sister, like maybe successfully. I don't remember exactly, but you know, that was like the whole thing. And you know, this lady, like her apartment burned down. That's serious, you know. And I do think that there's like something to be said about, you know, sort of turning these very tragic and traumatic moments from these people's lives into comedy, or you know, into a joke. But I think there's a big difference between taking this lady's traumatic thing and doing digital blackface, and taking this lady's traumatic thing and you know, cutting up a quote and sharing that quote. I don't know. This guy just, this point doesn't make much sense to me. They're essentially the whole sort of overarching thing is that if you share memes or if you share gifs of black people as a white person, you're pretending to be black. And I don't think that that's even close to being true. I think that, you know, for the most part, people that share this stuff, it's because they connect with these celebrities, you know, the same, or, you know, at least their reaction in that moment. And I just don't think that, I don't know. I just don't see it as the way that they're describing it. It just doesn't make any sense to me. And as you read more and more, they start talking about this lady. They, her name is Elizabeth Halford, and they're talking about how defining digital blackface isn't easy. And I would say that defining digital blackface isn't easy because the sort of thing that they're talking about is pretty spurious to begin with, you know. I mean, I'm sure that there are people out there online doing actual digital blackface where they are posing as a black person and weighing in on black issues as a black person when they actually aren't. That exists for sure. I think that is, to me, that would be what digital blackface is, not sharing a meme of Tyra Banks, you know, that says, "I was rooting for you. We were all rooting for you. How dare you?" They're like, they're saying that that's wrong, but I just don't think so. He talked to this lady, Elizabeth Halford. She's a white lady. And they're talking about how defining it isn't easy because, you know, it's very, it's all seems very, you know, tenuous to begin with. And the standard for some, this is what it says. The standard for some is comparable to what one Supreme Court justice once said when asked for his test for pornography. "I know it when I see it." Well, that's not good. They're like, "Hey, what's the definition?" And they're like, "Well, you know, I know when I see it." And they quote this lady, and they talk about this article that she wrote. It's an apologetic essay. It's from 2020. And it's I'm going to read some pieces from that because it's even more heinous than the CNN article that is quoting from it. And it just is sort of so strange that, you know, that this is like, is this really where we're at? Like, this is the kind of shit that we're nitpicking now, is that white people can't even, you know, they can't even see a black person's reaction to something and be like, yeah, that's how I feel. You know, human emotion, relating to human emotions is like, you know, we're not allowed. And it was just so, it's just so weird. They talk about it in the CNN article, and it says, but Halford says, that doesn't mean she won't use any more gifts of black people. She doesn't object to the Beyonce "I'm the boss" meme because she thinks it empowers women. She says that as long as a meme or gif is empowering and not demeaning, she feels free to use it. Besides, Halford says, if she refrains from using any black memes, she runs into another problem. Those are the most effective because white people are so boring, she says. Dude, I just don't understand. Like, okay, are white people boring? Yeah, of course. Duh. But dude, there's like plenty of not boring gifs of white people still. I just don't understand. Like, this is so strange. It feels like a weird world that, you know. And I think that most people realize that this is stupid, you know, and this is just like some very like, you know, it's like it's high-minded, quote unquote, like very, you know, you really gotta dig down deep for this one, kind of shit that is just beyond the pale for most people. Fucking this doesn't even register to them. They're like, digital what? I'm doing what? You know, it's the same thing. It's like, I never understand this, right? I never get this. Why is this the kind of shit that we try to like use, you know, to get people to get discussion started? Is like, don't use memes of black people. It's like, dude, this is a waste of time. They're literally they're literally preventing teachers from teaching about civil rights in Florida right now. You know what I mean? They're teaching people about it, but CNN and, you know, and this guy are spending time and resources writing about memes of Tyra Banks. You know, it's fucking crazy, dude. It doesn't make any sense. And I'm not saying that there's no point to be made here. There kind of is, you know, but I'm saying that broadly speaking, for most people, this is not applicable. It's just not. Most people that share memes of black people, if they're white, aren't doing it because they're like, oh, like this is like, they're so spicy. I gotta, you know what I mean? It just is a weird logical leap. But the article, this blog post that this Elizabeth Halford lady wrote is even more fucking stupid because, and she's updated it now since the CNN article came out, but she wrote this in 2020. And I gotta say, dude, this thing is just dripping with projection. She has been called out in some way for something that she did, something that she posted. And instead of taking personal accountability for it and saying, yeah, you know what, you're right, that is what I was doing and I shouldn't have done that. Instead, she now ropes everybody in this blog post. It's crazy. This is how it starts. When Sweet Brown's apartment building burned down, we laughed at her. We memed her. We did. We nominated Ain't Nobody Got Time for That as the perfect response for literally anything we didn't want to do. Speak for yourself, dude. Not everybody laughed. You know? And dude, here's the thing is like, it's ignoring the context of like what happened with this lady, right? Is like her apartment burned down. Tragic, traumatic, terrible. Her reaction went viral. And then she was able to parlay that into, you know, not only just financial gain, but, you know, just a level of notoriety and stuff that has probably benefited her greatly. And I'm not saying that makes it right, but I am saying that the idea that people just laughed at this lady and, you know, they just, you know, used her reaction as, you know, this thing that they could use to respond, and they made fun of her and stuff, is not really the case. That's not exactly what happened. And I guess I could go back and look, but at a certain point, this lady, she was like on like every talk show and stuff. And I'm sure that, she got some financial compensation for that more than made up for the stuff that she lost in the apartment. Doesn't make it less traumatic, doesn't make it bad. I'm just saying that it's not as if people just laughed at her and were like, stupid lady, fucking stupid apartment burned down. They laughed at her, but they were also like, we like her. Let's put her on TV and stuff. But I just think it's weird that she's like, we laughed at her. We memed her. I've never made a meme of anybody. Most people haven't. Maybe she did, but she talks about learning about what blackface is, or like digital blackface is. It says, this week I've been educated that these behaviors are forms of digital blackface, and that's bad, and I will never do it again. Learning this sent me on a rabbit hole. Down a rabbit hole is what she should have written, but on a rabbit hole. Inside my head, digging deep to discover areas where I've not been the person I want to be. I refuse to ever employ the phrase, I'm not racist. I don't know if that's true for of any white person. I don't know if that's true of any white person. I wonder if by default we're raised with these proclivities and we have to actively dig them up, root them out, and surgically extract them from our white knuckle death grip of privilege because it makes it so painful to pry open our eyes and admit that we have been racist. Here's the thing. I agree with that. I agree with that statement. I don't think that sharing a Tyra Banks meme is necessarily the sort of racism that we need to be focused on extracting from our white knuckle death grip of privilege. I think that there's a lot of other things that sort of come before that, and I'm not sure if that's really anything that ever needs to be addressed. It doesn't make any sense. But she gets into it, and she starts talking about, I don't know if you guys remember during COVID, that lady who called the NYPD on that guy because he's bird watching in the park, and she called him, and you know, it's terrible. She's talking about that. And this is, I feel like this part is exactly what you need to know about this lady, because this is precisely the problem, I think, with this sort of discourse. The public shaming of Amy Cooper, who called on the NYPD to put a hit on a man who had the audacity to birdwatch while black, made us square up to the fact that liberals in New York City with Cocker Spaniels and slick jobs in tall buildings can be racist too. That racism doesn't just live at MAGA rallies. It lives in the hearts of people who voted for Obama. In her apology, Amy Cooper still had the gall to say, I'm not racist. We sure love that phrase, don't we? It's like a sneeze we just can't hold in. It's like a sneeze that you just can't hold in. It's crazy. We have to face up to the fact that liberals in New York City with Cocker Spaniels and slick jobs in tall buildings can be racist too. Well, listen, lady, if you're fucking not a moron, you already knew that. Okay? You already knew that. In fact, if you're even have an ounce of critical thinking, you'd be like, it seems like a lot of these liberals in tall buildings with Cocker Spaniels and high-paying CEO jobs are kind of racist. I mean, dude, come on. Like, this is the most basic shit. And, you know, it just is, it's so frustrating to me that she is acting as if nobody knew this, you know, and this is I think like the problem, right, with liberals in the sort of form of racism that liberal people do, because it's not the same, right? Like we're used to the kind of racism in this country of, you know, people just saying flat out like, you know, terrible shit about other people, that kind of stuff. We're used to that. We're really used to it. But, you know, for most of us with common sense, and for most of us with, you know, any sort of ability to think critically about the world around us, we already knew that racism isn't just, you know, calling someone a name or discriminating against somebody because of the color of their skin. It's stuff that happens in the workplace. It's, you know, stuff that happens in corporate America and in schools and things like that, you know, institutional racism. So the idea that people with Cocker Spaniels in New York City that work in big high-rise buildings and stuff aren't racist, or are racist rather, isn't news to anybody with half a brain. But the problem is that all these people, like this Elizabeth Halford lady, believed that they're the good guys, right? And in some ways I think that it's fair to say that her view of this stuff is at least closer to what I believe than the opposite end of the spectrum. But at the same time, it's like still dripping in this sort of like bourgeois liberal racism that like she can't even believe that this lady whose apartment burned down and gave this interview that people thought was funny afterwards could even have a sense of humor about it. You know what I mean? Like her whole thing is that what she believes is that black people's lives are so terrible across the board, and that black people, everything that happens to them is so awful that they can't have a sense of humor about bad things that might happen to them in their lives. And so in a lot of ways, like, she's still dehumanizing people, because when people saw that video, they didn't connect to it because they were like, oh, this lady is black and she's talking funny and that's why I think it's hilarious. Some people did. I'm sure some people did. But most people saw that and they're like, gosh, like, that lady, that's so relatable. It's literally the opposite of what she's saying. But for her, it's tough because she can't even, because she's the liberal in New York City with the Cocker Spaniel in the slick job in the tall building. That's her. And so she can't even conceive of the fact that, the rest of us are out here already knowing that, and that the rest of us are out here not laughing at that lady, but we are relating to her, And so I just think this whole thing is just so fucked up because, yes, like racism in this country is a problem. And there are a myriad of things that need to be addressed, with regards to race and the way that black people have been treated historically and continue to be treated to this day. Of course, this ain't it. It's just not it, dude. They are digging deep and really trying to stretch this into something that it's not. But I feel like it's so telling when she talks about, the fact that we have to deal with, the reality that liberals in New York City can be racist. It's like, yeah, no fuck, dude. Okay? Most of us already knew that well before 2020 when you wrote this. Elizabeth, you dumbass. Come on. Yeah, this shit pissed me off. But she made some corrections because I guess, the CNN article, this person made some errors in their reporting, and she doesn't actually think that it's okay to share the Beyonce gif that empowers women because it's still wrong because it's still digital blackface. The Beyonce thing is it just says, I'm not bossy, I'm the boss. So just, doesn't quite hit the nail on the head here. They really missed with this. And, this lady should probably do some self-reflection and maybe consider the fact that she didn't actually take responsibility for any of the stuff that she did at all. She just kind of blamed everybody else for it. So it's fucking stupid. It's a dumb fucking article, and I hate it. Anyways, that's it for that story. Let's see. We're getting pretty close here. Okay. Let's watch this clip of Donald Trump. And let's laugh, dude. He's back. You know? We're getting in full swing with the election, and boy, howdy, is Donald Trump back, dude. And I gotta say, don't like him. Not a fan of his politics. Won't be voting for him for president. Never have voted for him for president. But I think that anyone who is unwilling to admit that this guy is one of the funniest people to ever like get this much TV coverage is hilarious. I mean, it's just, it's like, dude, come on. Like, we can all acknowledge that he's, you know, bad for the country. He's gonna ruin democracy. That's all bad. But the dude's speeches and his interviews are like fucking must-see TV. I mean, you never know what the guy's gonna say. In this clip, he's talking about how he helped farmers. So, see if you can follow this. This is Donald Trump touting his record on farm policy. Farm, not foreign. Farm. F-A-R-M. Here's Donald Trump.
And I made farmers happy and rich again, and they're doing a fantastic job. And you know what? Someday it'll become time for them to leave this beautiful earth, and they'll be able to leave their farm without taxes to their children. I got rid of the death tax on farms so that when you do pass away, on the assumption that you love your children, you can leave it to them and they won't have to pay tax. But if you don't love your children so much, and there are some people that don't, and maybe deservedly so, it won't matter, because frankly, you don't have to leave them anything. Thank you very much. Have fun.
I mean, come on, dude. Did any of you expect that that's where that was going? It's like, what this leads me to believe is that he is considering cutting one of his kids out of the will. Dude, it's so funny to talk about this. And I mean, you know, realistically, the thing that he's talking about is obviously, you know, when it's a state's tax is basically what it is, right? Is like, if somebody dies and they leave their estate to their kids, you know, there's tax on that. You get taxed, and he got rid of that for farmers. Now, a lot of people listening to that are like, oh, that's good. You know, farmers, like these, you know, individuals who own farms and like da-da-da-da. But that's not who this is going to help. This is going to help like a big, you know, industrial farms that are, you know, owned by either like, you know, tycoons of industry, like these giant corporations, you know, that are in control of like all the food in this country, or, you know, even giant corporations from other countries. So it's not actually really going to go and help too many mom and pop people, because farming isn't like that in America anymore. But the fucking, how he gets to there, dude, he's like, I've helped the farmers. I've helped them so much. But one day it'll come time for them to pass on. What a strange thing to say, dude. Like, just to start talking about like how they're gonna die. I mean, and then, dude, to be like, and you don't have to leave anything to your kids. It just is like clearly like something that's on his mind, because that's just who he is, right? Is like and this was something that people would say, like, about Donald Trump is, you know, a lot of his staff and aides and stuff like that in the White House when he was there, they would try to be the last person to talk to him, because if you're the last guy to talk to him, then he's more likely to favor your position on things. So whoever the last person to talk to Donald Trump is kind of like, you know, it's fresh in his mind kind of thing, I think. And so it's just so obvious that this is clearly what happened. And he's thinking of cutting one of his kids out of the will. I wonder who it would be, though. That's really the tough part, is which kid. It's got to be like Tiffany or something, you know, one of the kids he doesn't like. Maybe Ivanka? No, he's not going to cut Ivanka out, but we'll see how all this drama plays out and stuff. My guess would be either Tiffany or Eric Trump. Those are my guesses. Because those are his two kids that are like less, they're a little less, you know, prevalent or like, you know, in the public eye, especially regarding Donald Trump's like politics and stuff, than Donald Jr. or Ivanka. Because I feel like if he like removed one of those two from his will, it would be like a way bigger story, because, you know, those are like his favorites. Those are his two favorite kids. But yeah, you don't have to leave anything to your kids, because they're not allowed. You don't have to. I can't do Donald Trump, dude. But yeah, man, he's gonna cut one of his kids out of his will. I just thought that was so weird. That's just out of nowhere. Oh, bro. Donald Trump was, if you remember, he was the guy who was like, we got to ban TikTok. That was his whole thing. And that's kind of been making a resurgence, if you will, lately. Like, a lot of politicians are calling to ban TikTok. It's become a serious issue again. And, you know, I think that it's sad in a way, because we keep sort of repeating these same narratives. You know, what they're saying about TikTok, a lot of them, is, you know, that TikTok is controlled by, or you know, is controlled by the Chinese government, and they are going to use TikTok to essentially sway the opinions of young Americans into being anti-American and pro-communism, whatever. They're going to use it. It's a weapon, you know? And at first reaction, you know, a lot of people, that probably makes sense to a lot of people. You know, these kids are spending all this time on this app, and it's going to influence them in some way, that kind of thing. But when you take a step back and think about it, this argument is pretty much the same argument that was made regarding, you know, the Russian influence on the 2016 election. It's the same argument that was made with the Cambridge Analytica stuff. It's the same sort of thread that was in the Hunter Biden laptop story on Twitter and the censorship, that kind of thing. The sort of central idea to like all those is that, you know, social media can be used as a tool to massively sway public opinion one way or the other, by somebody with, you know, the intentions or ability to do so. And it's just not true. It just isn't true. There's no real evidence to believe that, you know, social media has the ability to, on itself, ability to influence people on a massive scale into thinking something different. I mean, certainly with, you know, stuff like QAnon and things of that nature, we've seen instances where social media feeds into, you know, this sort of morphing and distortion of the way people view society and themselves and yada, yada, yada. But there's no real reason to believe that was because of social media. A lot of times those people who fall into those sort of circles and become extremists, it's because there are other factors in their lives that are pushing them towards that as well. You know, financial insecurity, things of that nature. So that's bullshit. That's just not true. It's sad because we keep repeating the same story over and over again and ignoring the sort of broader truth. And that's not to say that I don't think that there are issues with TikTok. I think that there are even issues regarding national security with TikTok. Those, to me, are more related to, like, you know, if government officials or, you know, military personnel or, you know, people in, like, critical industries in the private sector that use TikTok or are on there doing something, and, you know, that maybe they shouldn't be doing, or maybe they don't want people to know about, you know, something like an affair or like, you know, cheating on their partner or spouse or whatever, and then that being leveraged against them by, you know, but that's not necessarily unique to TikTok. But I think what is unique to TikTok is, you know, the Chinese government does have a lot of access to that information. I mean, they can get anything they want from there. That's true. So I you know, I do think that there are issues regarding TikTok. I don't think that any of them are anything to do with, you know, this sort of campaign to sway people's opinions. You know what I think does more to, you know, make young people have anti-American sentiments? I think a big part of it is, you know, student loan debt, or the lack of economic opportunity for young people. I think that goes a lot further in, you know, fomenting anti-American sentiment amongst young people than something like watching a 30-second TikTok video. You know what I mean? This idea that people seeing these videos, these, you know, short little videos, or these, you know, seeing some tweets or something like that is going to have a major impact on the way that they fundamentally view the world is wrong. And if there are kids on TikTok that are seeing anti-American messages, it's probably because they have anti-American sentiments already. And they either like that stuff, or it's being shown to them because it upsets them. And TikTok's algorithm knows that they're going to go in the comments and interact and stuff like that. And just completely ignorant of how social media works. Most people are using social media to, like, look at ass and stuff, or, like, you know, sports shit and stuff like that. That's what most people use social media for. So the idea that TikTok is going to be used by China to you know, create this broad sweeping, you know, anti-American movement in the United States is bullshit. It's an easy way to deflect the blame from yourself, from, you know, our own problems that we have here, and put it on somebody else. And I think that, you know, picking TikTok in China is pretty intentional too, because you know, they want to have a war. They want to have a war with China. And even though this seems like a small step, it's, you know, it's going down the road, dude. Kicking the can down the road. We're going to get there eventually, if we keep doing this. And I think that, you know, for all the sort of unique issues that maybe TikTok represents or presents, you know, it operates the same way as every other social media company. And every other social media company, they all operate the same way. Their goal is to sell you stuff. They want to sell you stuff. And they want to collect information on you, and they want to sell that information to other people. That's not, you know, TikTok's not any different. That's what Twitter does and stuff. And I mean, you know, the idea that a foreign country could have all of this information on American citizens, that is something to be concerned about. But that's not what the dialogue seems to have been so far. And so I think that there's a point to be made, but they're just, like, nobody's making the right point. And I you know, I see, like, people that I know falling into this trap again of like TikTok is gonna, you know, they're gonna like make make everybody hate America and stuff. And it's like, dude, that's just not how shit works at all. You know? Think about it. Think about yourself, right? When you read something online, something like controversial, you read about something that is going on in today's world, you read about it, you know, maybe you see some other comments that are, you know, talking about it that you agree with and stuff. And you know, that discourse continues, and you go and talk to somebody not online, and they have a different point of view. Most people are like, oh, like that's interesting, you know, like da-da-da-da. And then they forget about it the next day. They don't even think about it. But, yeah, TikTok is going to kill America for Shizzle. Oh, brother. We are really sort of hurtling towards disaster, huh? This is not going good. Nobody really makes any sense anymore. Nothing adds up. All right, guys. That's the end of the episode. I appreciate you checking it out. And, you know that I love you. You know that I love you so much. Yeah, make sure you check us out on Instagram. Go ahead and, you know, subscribe. Like and subscribe on YouTube, on wherever you get your podcasts. Leave us a review. Follow me. And, yeah, new episodes every Tuesday, y'all. I love you. I love you so much. I love you so much, guys. It's me, the Mississippi newscaster, and I'm right here today. I love you guys. All right. Okay, we'll talk soon. Bye.